Today, we're diving into something pretty intense: commanding calm right in the middle of chaos. We're going to explore what really sets a true leader apart when, everything is on the line.
I mean, you've seen it happen, right? A crisis hits, chaos just erupts, and somehow some people just rise to the occasion. They're the ones who give direction when everyone else is completely lost. So how do they do it? What's the secret sauce? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now.
Okay, so to really get this, we're going to walk through what we're calling the leader's journey. We'll start with when the storm first arrives, and we'll follow it all the way through to the path to recovery. All right, our journey starts as that storm makes landfall. And let's be clear, a crisis, it's not just a tough day at the office. No way. It's a completely different reality. We're talking about deep uncertainty, huge disruption, and just an incredible amount of stress for literally everyone involved.
And right there, that's the very first test of leadership. Look, before you can solve a single thing, you have to be something. You have to be that stable anchor in the storm. Honestly, your most critical job is just to build and keep that trust, especially when it feels like the ground is shaking beneath everyone's feet.
Okay, so how do you project that stability? Well, that brings us to our second stage. It all starts with an unshakable internal foundation. Think of it as the anchor within.
When you really boil it all down, effective crisis leadership comes down to these 4 core traits. You need clarity to cut right through that fog of uncertainty. You need decisiveness to give direction when everyone else is frozen. You need empathy to actually connect with what your team is going through. And finally, composure, that calm outward signal that you've got this.
So what powers all of this? It's something called emotional intelligence. And honestly, this is the real game changer. It's all about being able to manage your own reactions, your fear, your frustration, while also being able to understand and react to the emotions of your team. This right here, this is what separates the good leaders from the truly great ones when things get tough.
All right, so you've got that internal anchor set. Now it's time to actually act. Let's move into our third stage, navigating the waters. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's all about making those tough calls when the pressure's on. And believe me, the stakes could not be higher. Every single leader in a crisis faces this huge internal conflict. It's like a tug of war. On one side, you've got the incredible pull of urgency, that feeling that you have to do something, anything, right now. But on the other side, you've got this critical need for strategy, because a rushed decision could make a bad situation a whole lot worse.
So, how do you manage that tension? Well, not by winging it. You need a structured approach. First things first, assess the situation as calmly as you can. Ask yourself, what do we actually know? Second, you have to balance that urgent need to act with a real long-term plan. And third, and this one is absolutely non-negotiable, you have to communicate what you're deciding.
And that whole communication piece, it leads us perfectly into our fourth stage, leading the crew. Because let's be real, you can have the most brilliant strategy in the world, but it's completely useless if you don't have a motivated, trusting team to actually make it happen.
And listen, it's not just about dumping information on people. It's about communicating with authenticity. When people are scared and uncertain, they have this built-in radar for anything that's fake. So real, honest communication, even when the news is tough, that becomes the currency of trust. It's absolutely everything.
So at the end of the day, a leader's job is so much more than just operations and logistics. You are the guide for your team through all that emotional turbulence. Your number one job is to keep morale up, because a team that's lost hope, they just can't function. It doesn't matter how brilliant your plan is.
Okay, this brings us to the final leg of our journey. I mean, surviving the storm is one thing, right? But how do you actually guide your team to a safe harbor and come out even stronger on the other side? Well, that is the path to recovery.
So this path forward really hinges on 3 key actions. First, you have to demonstrate resilience yourself. You've got to show the team how to bounce back. Next, you need to be actively working to rebuild and sustain team morale. And finally, you have to shift everyone's focus away from just surviving the now and towards building a much better future.
Because when you think about it, great leadership isn't just about getting through the crisis. It's not just about survival. A truly great leader is proactive. They don't just ride out the storm, they are actively steering the ship toward a safe harbor with the goal of getting there more resilient and more united than ever before.
So, we want to leave you with this final thought. You've probably heard the saying that a crisis doesn't build character, it reveals it.
When the pressure is really on and everything feels uncertain, all those traits we talked about today, they're going to come to the surface. So the question for every single one of us is this: what will that moment reveal about you?